For me, selling my business wasn't about actually achieving ultimate financial freedom. Are you ready to turn your coaching business into millions of dollars with just one signature? Today, I'm pulling back the curtain to reveal how I did exactly that when I sold my last coaching company. Now, this episode, I'm sharing you the steps and reasons behind why I sold my last coaching company and why it was super successful, and also how you can do the exact same thing. Now, I got hit up in Instagram DMs, and I'm not going to share her name to keep it confidential and so that she has a competitive edge. But I got hit up in DMs from a fantastic lady that wants to be able to sell her coaching business. So I'm actually going to be going through in this episode, answering her questions and being able to show you how you can build and make changes necessary to have a successful exit of your coaching business. Also, I'm going to be sharing with you a sneak peek, a video from Josh that bought my last business so that you can see what actually happened after he bought my business as well. We'll dive into the full video where we explore the crucial systems that made the sale so beneficial both for myself and for him buying my business as well.
Hey, what's happening? If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Josh Vago. I am the CEO of the Fit Pro Association, and I bought Chris Dufey's company about 8 weeks ago. In the first 2 months of me being the CEO of the business, I actually profited and took home more money than I did in my first 2 years of being a face-to-face coach.
So after tossing out a question out on Instagram, let's say Stephanie sent me an Instagram DM with some great questions about how she wants to be able to sell her coaching business and how I can best help her do that, which is this episode that I'm sharing with you today. Also, if you have any questions or topics that you want me to be able to answer in future episodes, then make sure just put them into the YouTube comments or send me a DM on Instagram, and I choose the best ones to be able to do next episodes. Also a great reason for you to subscribe if you haven't. Now, before we jump in, let me set the stage to make sure that this is as useful as possible for you. Even if selling isn't your actual goal right now, even if selling isn't on your radar, what I'm about to share with you is crucial. Why? Because it's all about structuring your business to thrive without you. Otherwise, you've got a glorified job, because the key to a successful sale is it's got to be a sellable asset in the first place. See, back when my last coaching business was synonymous with The Chris Show, it wasn't positioned to sell. Today, I'll walk you through how to be able to go through that transition from being entangled in every department and to being completely off the org chart. So how do you go from being entangled with absolutely everything that happens inside of the business to actually being off the org chart? That's what the journey I'm going to take you through in this episode. Now, we'll also go through these questions that Stephanie, I nearly keep dropping her real name, that Stephanie has been able to ask. So let's cover this. The decision to sell my last company came from a really simple and profound realization that for me, I wanted to be more and I didn't want to have more. And even during the sales negotiation, like Josh said, hey, you could make millions more if you hold on to this for longer. But for me, it wasn't about the money. It was more about the personal growth and evolution, and it had been that I had outgrown that business. The person I was when I started the business wasn't who I had become. I felt misaligned, and I was eager to be able to pursue new adventures and do new things, learn new things, become someone more and different as well. And let me tell you, when I first toyed with the idea of selling, many said, you can't sell a coaching business, it's too rare. But I took that as a challenge, if I could be perfectly honest. I kind of got a little bit pissed off, and I was determined to actually prove them wrong, and I did. The real important case of why I say that is you've got to answer, why do you want to sell your business? And I believe in most cases, I don't want to talk in absolutes, I believe that you should know a clear reason why, and kind of the reason why and what you want to move on to after as well. I didn't know exactly the next company that I wanted to buy, which is now the Rainmakers today, but I knew the direction in which I wanted to head into, and I wanted the space, I wanted the void, I wanted the ability for it to like percolate into me to figure my shit out, to be perfectly honest. Have you subscribed? If not, this is the best time for you to subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. Why? Because it would be a bummer if you missed out on everything that's to come, or don't subscribe if you're not actually getting much value out of this, because there is a zillion other things that you could be doing. So I'd rather you go and do that. The ball's in your court. So let's break down the Sell My Coaching Business playbook into a hefty guide that I'm going to cover in 4 crucial areas. Now, I'm going to approach this as directly like I'm going to be coaching Stephanie going through this process right now. But this is for you when you're joining me on YouTube or listening onto the podcast. I want you to just be able to think about I'm talking directly to you in your unique scenario, so you're going to have to change a couple of small things. The Sell My Coaching Business playbook really is 4 key strategies that we need to think about. And if you overlook these whilst you're meticulously planning everything else, you won't achieve the best outcome. You'll primarily negotiate, and this is really important, you'll primarily negotiate on 2 things, price and terms. Now, price is decide how much you want for your business. Now, for me, selling my business wasn't about actually achieving ultimate financial freedom. Now, I break financial freedom for me into 2 stages. There's lifestyle freedom and what I call Freiheit freedom, right? Lifestyle freedom, like phase 1, means earning enough through passive income that is actually double my lifestyle expenses. So whatever you spend for you to live the life that you want, I want my passive income to be 200% of that, and I call that phase 1 freedom. Freiheit freedom is having so much money and wealth that you don't have financial concerns ever, and it's just completely non-existent, right? That's like jet, boat, yacht, all of that money, you do whatever it is that you want. Generational wealth would be more of a wiser, more altruistic thing to properly say. So understand the cost of the life that you want to live. As I'm not overly materialistic, but I know what it costs for me and my family to live the life that we want, owning the homes around the world, traveling, donating to charity, driving the cars that we want, ensuring quality education for my daughters, all of that good stuff. So when I sold my last business, I wasn't chasing Freiheit money. I aimed for lifestyle freedom, which gave me the space and options then to pursue what I'm now passionate about, the new venture that is the Rainmakers. So there's price. How much money do you want to be able to walk away from when you sell your business? There's 2, terms. This is often the most overlooked part of the deal, as many entrepreneurs actually sell their business but only get trapped into, say, an earn-out situation where they're technically out of the company, but it still needs to ensure that it hits certain targets for them to receive their full payout. Now, that wasn't for me. I wanted a clean break. I wanted to sell it, step out, wash my hands of it. And I actually negotiated a 5-week handover. So from signing the sale to the final Zoom call, where I was officially, I remember the Zoom call, where I was officially removed from all of the systems, the tech stuff, the platforms, said my goodbyes to everybody, and then clicked close Zoom, and I was done. That was completely it. It was quite an interesting moment for me, to be perfectly honest. As an entrepreneur, it was one of those moments that was like, oh wow, I actually did that. And so a quick and clean process was the part of the terms that I wanted to negotiate for. Now, did I leave money on the table because of that? Yes. But again, I was perfectly happy with the money I was walking away for anyway, and there is more than just the money situation, which is why I wanted to kind of talk about price and terms and all this first. So think about the price that you want and the terms that you'll prefer, and being savvy in the negotiating will be really crucially impacted with your exit strategy by knowing those 2 things very clearly. So let's actually dive into the 4 models that are essentially for setting your business up for a profitable sale and maximizing your multiple. So the 4 crucial areas is your economic model, your operations model, your acquisition model, and your delivery model. Now the key here is to have these areas systematically refined to boost the multiple at which your business can be sold for. So let's run through a hypothetical scenario right now. So let's say, I nearly said her real name. So let's say Stephanie wants to exit her business for $10 million in her pocket. So let's say Stephanie feels confident, we feel confident that she's going to be able to sell her business for a 5x multiple. So that means they'll need to maintain a yearly profit of $2 million. You could use the word EBITDA. I'm just going to use the word profit, to be honest, because it's a coaching business. So let's say, considering they operate with a 70% profit margin, I'm going through some math right now, so stick with me. So she wants to walk away with $10 million. We are confident we can get a 5x multiple. That means we need $2 million of profit a year. We're operating with a 70% profit margins, which is quite feasible for a coaching business, given that currently my business right now is at 82% margins. So they would need to, for a $2 million profit, and if it's 70% profit margin, that means they actually need total revenue to be at $2.8 million annually. So if you break that into monthly, let's say Stephanie needs to have $240,000 a month in revenue. Now, I won't bore you with the nitty-gritty details from here because I know there's a lot to chew on, but when I sit down to consult or help with business to go through this, we crunch all of these numbers down into the sales pipeline metrics, the cost per acquisition, the weekly lead requirements, churn rates, and all of that good stuff as well. So for Stephanie, that $240,000 of monthly revenue with a plan to maintain a 70% profit margin to ensure and to want to get a 5x multiple, we then need to break down the economic model further. So how exactly will the business consistently be earning $240,000 per month? We need to answer that. And critically, we need to know what portion of this revenue is contractual and what's recurring. So consider this. Are you hustling every month to find 1,200 customers paying $200 each to make $240,000 a month? So please remember, we said the business has to be doing 240 grand a month in revenue. So you can achieve 240 grand a month in revenue if you have a $200 product, but you need 1,200 new customers every single month to be able to have that. Or do you have something more sustainable and what I believe will actually get you a higher multiple as well, where let's say you have 120 clients paying you $2,000 each a month, and they're actually set up on a payment plan to be able to continue on, like they're actually locked in for a little bit longer time. Now, these drastically different approaches, each with its own set of strategies and have each their own set of challenges as well. My preference, I would rather the latter than the former. So let's talk about the operations model, actually. So this is a really critical area where I've invested considerable time when prepping my business for sale. And I've just got to be straight up. Alex Shafran was one of the amazing friends and mentors that gave me so much that allowed me to create and structure the successful operating system of the business that led to a successful sale. And it's essential for a business to be able to operate smoothly without my direct involvement for it to be a sellable asset. And I developed what I now call the $1 Million Coach operating system, which is what I now use with my partner's business. And so what it looks like is a comprehensive company master standard operating procedure, SOP. I'm just going to use SOP now, standard operating procedure. So there is a company SOP. There is individual 4x4 and master SOPs, which is every team member has two key documents. Their 4x4s, which is like their roles and responsibilities, and their master SOP, which outlines everything that they do, how they actually do it. Then for every recurring task that team member has, they have a task-specific SOP, and then everything organized within a project management system. And then there is clean, clear reporting scorecards. Then there is well-defined agendas and regular cadence for all the meetings and communication inside of the business. So that's kind of the overview of the operating system that I design inside of a coaching business. Now, a piece of advice here, to maximize your sale multiple, ensure that your team members are actually seasoned, fully operational, and they've stuck around for a while. A buyer won't be thrilled about buying a team that has a high turnover in team members because it signals instability. So I wasn't a fan of setting up these systems, but now I absolutely love it. And hopefully I've passed some of that love on to you so you can see the joy that actually comes from it, because there is a real peace of mind. So remember, even if you don't want to sell your business, that will give you so much peace of mind to be able to go through setting that and structuring that up properly. So next, let's tackle the acquisition model. How do you turn strangers into clients? Now, I set up at least 3 reliable channels for lead generation, a developed sales process with high conversion rates throughout each of the pipeline stage. So number 1, do I have lead generation coming through 3 channels? 2, do I have a sales process with high conversion rates at every single stage of that pipeline as well? And then these are 3 rules designed for when a buyer's perspective is really looking to have confidence when coming in and when being able to have a successful buy. Like when I put my shoes into another buyer, this is what we're really looking for as well. So when it comes into the lead generation side of things, all of the content, the Instagram posts, the YouTube videos, the podcast episodes, the ads for the business, all of that was no longer fronted by me. And now this shift was really transitioning the spotlight to whoever next needs to represent the business, who's the face of the business. And you need to be able to position them as more capable than you when you go through that transition as well. So Stephanie, you need to be able to find somebody else that's going to be the face of the business, quite simply. Because I vividly recall the moment that this all clicked for me. And it was actually, we were going to be shooting ads in a cafe in Bali. And so we had a videographer and we're heading over to this cafe to shoot ads. And I remember being on the bike, riding over and deciding I'm not going to be in these ads. It's going to be my team member that's going to do it. And getting to the cafe and say, hey, I'm not the one in front of the camera. I'm just going to sit behind the camera and essentially I'm just going to do the producer job of it. I sat and drank a coffee and I helped with what to say and how to say it at the end of the day. And that was something so profound because when you're able to then, and this is when you need to step into true leadership. When you're then able to truly transfer that leadership from yourself to somebody else. So leaders create leaders. When you're able to transfer that and then you're able to then really step away from that part of the business, I feel like for me, something clicked and it really spurred me on to then go through the rest of the process to go through a successful sale as well. So to know that and to prove that, let's actually see what Josh said after he bought the business. All right, play Josh's full video now.
Hey, what's happening? If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Josh Vago. I am the CEO of the Fit Pro Association, and I bought Chris Dufey's company about 8 weeks ago. In the first 2 months of me being the CEO of the business, I actually profited and took home more money than I did in my first 2 years of being a face-to-face coach, which is totally insane when you think about it. And the reason why the handover was so flawless between Chris and myself is because we were obsessed with systemizing every aspect of the business to make it flawless and to make it run like clockwork. All of my team is super happy. We know exactly what needs to be done on a day-to-day, week-to-week, and month-to-month level, and it's working and it's fun.
Now, finally, let's dive into the 4th pillar, the delivery model, which essentially revolves around how you deliver results and fulfill your promises to your clients at the end of the day. And this stage is all about actually extracting the knowledge and experience that's in between your ears and being able to put it into a systemized, engineered, meticulously, oh my God, this works time and time again, almost like a conveyor belt where you can be able to put a new client in, they go through the system and it spits out a client that's gotten their results as well. Now, I will say there is someone else I want to be able to mention. Josh McKitterick is your guy. He's a master and one of the world's best when it actually comes to creating the ideas, the templates, the systems, the knowledge output of essentially how do you actually get the knowledge and everything in your head with how you know how you get clients' results into a system and into the best way. And typically you're going to be 10x better than what you're doing anyway. Josh McKitterick's your dude. Now, what I've managed to do is simplify the creation of the delivery systems for any coaching business. This is where I, again, using what Josh taught me, I then sat down and was like, all right, any coaching business, what is actually the delivery systems and mechanisms needed to ensure the best success for their clients? And then using the right frameworks, we can now transform those insights from the brains of the head honcho into a structured process. And this allows coaches to be able to deliver services in a scalable and efficient manner. Now, the beauty of this system is clients win because they receive a more reliable and effective service, not reliant on the guru having to repeat themselves daily. And you, the guru, you win because your clients achieve far superior results without you having to brunt all of the actual heavy lifting. So imagine a business where clients move through lead generation, make sales, they receive coaching. So imagine a business where you have clients go through the lead generation, they get sold, and they get coached and get great results, and that client doesn't even know who you are. I remember that day when that happened in my last coaching business, and it was glorious because for me, it was the pat on the back, it was the notification, it was the sign that I actually had built a coaching business, a true coaching business. Yeah, it was a sellable asset. It was going through all of the functions of the business and I was not there, I was off the org chart. It runs independently of my direct involvement. For me as an entrepreneur, that was an incredible achievement. Now, the actual practical steps for you, Stephanie, and what now is how do you start and where do you actually go from here within your business? And this is where I assess each of the areas that we've covered. So we look at what's missing, identify where is the lack of systems or methods actually happening, what's broken, pinpoint, what have you already got in place, but you know that needs improvement. Then there is what's the constraint of your current business. Determine the single biggest bottleneck that once you've addressed it, allows you to then solve it and then move on to the next challenge, which then speeds up the growth of the business. Because also, sorry, another side tangent here, you don't want to decide, you don't want to be growing your business, then decide that you want to sell it and it just start like plateauing or even going down. Remember, like, let's think about it. Your potential buyer is going to come in and they want to continue to see, say, your Stripe and income continuing to grow. You want to see that on an upward trajectory as well for you to be able to have a most successful sale. So that's why I say those questions for you to continue to answer and for you to work through right now. And so the best goal is to fully grasp the philosophy and the ecosystem behind the building and the selling of the business, which is why I've covered what I've had today. You need a detailed project plan for when you're ready to actually engage potential buyers. So when it comes from you to be able to position yourself in a strong stance and to be fully prepared to negotiate on the price and terms that you desire, you want to be able to have all of those systems set up and to be able to go through that process as well. So as we wrap up today's deep dive into transforming your coaching business into a sellable asset, I want to leave you with a few parting thoughts, a couple of ideas I think are going to be super helpful. Building and selling a business is more than just a transaction. It's a journey, it's a transformation, especially for you as you go through this process. It's a transformation. Each model that we've explored today, from the economic to the operations, to the acquisition, to the delivery, they're all vital components of that journey. They're all skill sets that you need to acquire, and it's a new identity that you're actually going to need to go into as well. There will be many times limiting beliefs that you will come across. A limiting belief could be like, oh, I can't sell my business for $10 million. I can only sell it for, do you know what I mean, lesser amount. It's like, oh, I can't actually sell a business. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not smart enough. I had all of that stuff. I had all of that shit in my head when it came to I'm not good enough to be able to do these things. And I had to do the work, to be perfectly honest, to work through those limiting beliefs for me to be able to get the outcome that I said that I wanted as well. And these are the different gears that drive your business machine smoothly and efficiently toward the ultimate goal of a successful sale. Because remember, the essence of this process isn't just the mechanics, but it's the philosophy behind the decision making, which is why in this episode, I wanted to highlight the questions and the problems and what I did, but also share why I did those things as well, so you understand the thinking process behind it. Because it's about creating a life that you really love. This is how you build true value, not just through yourself, but for every client your business touches and from a team member who actually drives in those operations as well. It's about you being able to essentially create those leaders, build those systems as a part of that process. Now, as you step forward from this session, think of your business not just as a source of income, but as a potential catalyst for something much larger. Your coaching business isn't something just spitting you some cash every single month right now. It has the potential to do something so much more. So whether you're aiming for that lifestyle freedom or setting your sights for that Freiheit freedom, the principles we've discussed here are the roadmap for you to be able to go through. And so I really appreciate you being here with me through this episode. Stephanie, I nearly said your real name again. Stephanie, I hope this answers your questions. And if you, joining me on YouTube or listening to the podcast, if you've got specific questions or topics that you want me to be able to answer, then please put it into the YouTube comments or send me a DM on Instagram, because I want to be able to answer these, the best ones, in the upcoming episodes as well. And if you haven't subscribed to the show, well, you're missing out. And if you want good karma, subscribe, because it helps more people smile in the world. So I appreciate you being here. I really do appreciate your time and attention. And I'm looking forward to, number one, actually hopefully in the near future, having an episode from Stephanie going through a really successful sale. I'd love to know what you've best taken from this episode. But ultimately, I just want you to use what's in this episode for you to build the business and life that you love. If you've enjoyed this episode and it's vibed with you, then make sure that you hit subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. And importantly, if there is any guests that you want me to have on the show, or specific questions or topics that you want me to be able to cover for you, simply put it into the YouTube comments or send me an Instagram DM. That way I can make sure you're getting the most out of actually being here.